Thanks, Cahilloch. Thanks to all our guests here today. It's obviously a very important kind of subject matter in relation to the National Children's Hospital. And obviously it's been an ongoing issue for the last number of decades in relation to construction. Finally, that construction is going to take place. I visited the site a number of months ago, along with a number of other TDS centres, and the site is extremely impressive. And when it's when it's finished, it will be a major asset to public health system. But notwithstanding that, there is one big cloud over the whole construction, and there's no getting away from this question, is that in relation to costs. And I know all participants have mentioned the area around costs, but it slightly kind of staggers the mind how actually this has spiraled out of control. And in 2014, the original cost of the construction of the National Children's Hospital was 800 million. In 2018, that was quantified to 1.4 billion. In 2022, now it's 1.7 billion. And I'm guessing that this cost will definitely go over 2 billion. All the indications are saying that it will go over the 2 billion mark, which is absolutely an extraordinary amount of money for a hospital. So my question is, and I don't know if the participants can answer definitively, but how did people get this so wrong? You know, how did they get the cost so wrong in relation to the construction? We all know construction like projects can go over budget. They can kind of go up, over time and so forth. We all understand that, and obviously there was COVID thrown in this environment as well. But how could a company get it so wrong? Was it self-inflicted? Was this completely unprofessional in relation to the players in the whole construction, the ongoing construction of this project? But how did it go so wrong in relation to the cost?
So, thank you, Deputy Kenny. If I may answer that, Chair. Just to reset and make sure we're all dealing with the same set of facts here. So, the approved investment is 1.433 billion. That's what government approved in 2018, end of 2018 for this project, and that includes the construction contract, which is the BAM works, to put it that way, and then the additional costs of the development board, the design team, and other related charges which come in. Of that 1.433 billion, as of right now, 1.13 billion has been spent. So we are shall we say, still below the government approval. But there are cost pressures on that. And again, I don't mean to be reminding Deputy Kenny, but outside of that approval, there were already a number of items that were not, shall we say, given definitive quantums within that 1433 approval. So we had items outside of that, such as inflation, which we've talked about already, and we can go through that again, such as the cost of defending the claims, which is a significant cost, such as what we expect additional costs in relation to COVID, Brexit. There's been some change due to regulatory change of the design, but not very much. So that's the position. I think the major contributor to the cost increase here is delay as we look forward. Delay, and the contract is in delay, and you can have a lot of discussion around the delay, but certainly there is no doubt that the current construction environment and the current set of uncertainty in relation to what Brexit and COVID and other aspects have inflicted on the contract are significant. Now, that will all be fought out as to who has to pay for that in the the conciliation and dispute, and possibly the High Court. At the moment, we are, as I've already summarised, we are responsible for 9 million of that 500 million or so of the costs. And where we are responsible and the contractor has an entitlement, we have paid that money as we're required to do. So that's the actual position. As we look forward, there is, as I mentioned earlier, a process ongoing to look at those additional costs, primarily the ones due to prolongation, and how those will be quantified and then ultimately approved for capital approval, additional capital approval by government. So that's where things stand currently.
Can I just add, deputies? I think you mentioned two figures, Deputy, 1.43 and 1.7. The 1.43 is a government-approved capital budget. Over and above that, there's another 300 million to bring the entire programme to 1.73. The 300 million is to allow integration and mobilisation of the services side. So, there are a lot of figures used. So I just wanted to bring clarity of what the relationship is between the 1.433, which is just for the works only, and, as my colleague said, within that government-approved budget of 1.433, there are items that the contractor is entitled to, and that there are external factors that are adding pressure to that. Over and above the 1.433, there's an additional allowance to allow mobilisation of services. So it's just important for anybody looking in just to understand that relationship.
Or is it plausible that it could reach the 2 billion mark? Is it plausible? Because obviously, if you look at the commentary around this, particularly this year, all indications are now whether it's a big question mark on this. But is it plausible that this construction could go the 2 billion mark? Given all the mitigating circumstances that's involved with this, we all understand they're very challenging. But is there a possibility that actually, this could go well beyond the figures that you've just mentioned?
What we have advised government last year, that as a consequence of delay, there is going to be increased cost. That's not news today. That's a stated fact about 4 months ago. I'm not going to answer that question definitively, and for the very reason that the board is engaged in a live commercial environment with the contractor. The contractor has a position on what his entitlement is, and the board have equally taken a position on what that is. And I don't want to get into a discussion around, setting a precedent or giving any signal, in terms of a definitive cost. I just don't think that would be wise for the Exchequer at this stage.